Few shows manage to hold a mirror to society with as much irreverence as South Park. For over 2 decades, Trey Parker and Matt Stone have turned cultural chaos into biting satire, and episode 3 of the new season is a perfect reminder of why the series still feels as fresh as ever. The episode combines politics, technology, drug culture, and classic South Park absurdity into one of the strangest episodes fans have seen in years. The mix sounds ridiculous on paper. Donald Trump, artificial intelligence, ketamine, a talking towel, and Randy Marsh's weed farm. Yet somehow, it all comes together in a way that leaves viewers laughing, unsettled, and questioning how close the parody is to reality. The episode kicks off in familiar territory with Randy Marsh, who has turned his family farm into a marijuana empire. Just as things seem stable, immigration and customs enforcement shows up and takes away his workers. In true Randy fashion, instead of handling the crisis calmly, he panics and yells absurdities while lamenting the loss of his Mexicans. Sharon, who has long been exhausted by Randy's obsession with the farm, sees this as an opportunity to finally return to a normal life. But Randy, stubborn and delusional as ever, refuses to give up. Instead of listening to his wife or seeking sensible help, he decides the solution lies in technology. He turns to ChatGPT, treating it like his personal life coach, therapist, and business strategist. The humor here comes from Randy's blind faith in AI. Praising every generic suggestion as genius, he uses ChatGPT to develop new strategies for Tegrity Farms, believing the machine understands him better than any human ever could. With Tally as his only remaining employee, Randy rebrands the farm under a new futuristic name, Tegrity 2.0, but he decides that to compete with Silicon Valley truly, he needs more than AI. He needs creativity enhancers. Enter ketamine. Randy claims that tech moguls use microdosing to unlock brilliance and insists it will elevate his thinking. Tally, ever the voice of reason despite being perpetually high, reminds him it is literally a horse tranquilizer. Randy brushes this off, inhaling sprays of ketamine and muttering incoherently as hallucinations take over. The rebranding sequence is peak South Park comedy, blending ad jargon with Randy's drug-fueled nonsense. At one point, he collapses while whispering, convinced that the ketamine has expanded his mind. Sharon, meanwhile, grows more frustrated as she sees her husband spiral deeper into delusion, convinced that a chatbot and tranquilizers are all he needs to save the farm. Her cutting remark calling ChatGPT nothing more than a sycophant strikes a chord. The AI never challenges Randy, it just validates his worst impulses. The satire here is sharp, poking fun at the way people rely on AI-generated advice that flatters rather than questions. While Randy experiments with tech-fueled farming, the episode takes a bizarre detour to Washington. Trump is depicted as the ultimate narcissist, surrounded by CEOs and world leaders showering him with compliments and sycophantic gifts. The parody becomes even stranger when the show reveals Trump shares his bed with Satan. This subplot is equal parts absurd and disturbing. Their relationship is portrayed as toxic, with Satan desperate to leave but trapped in a cycle of manipulation. The scenes between them are darkly comedic but also unsettling, capturing the dysfunction of blind loyalty in politics and relationships alike. Back in South Park, Randy decides the only way forward is to push for marijuana reclassification at the federal level. Who better to take on the mission than Towley? The absurdity ramps up as Randy and Towley break into an ICE facility to rescue one of the farm workers, guided step by ChatGPT instructions. Randy yells as if the chatbot is his secret weapon, making the sequence both chaotic and hilarious. Towley eventually makes it to Washington, which the show depicts as a militarized city transformed under Trump's leadership. The Lincoln Memorial has been replaced with a statue of Trump, complete with crude visual gags mocking his fragile ego. Tally waits patiently in line with other Trump worshippers until he finally gets a chance to present Randy's hologram pitch. The deal Randy proposes is outrageous. In exchange for marijuana reclassification, he offers Towley as a gift. What follows is one of the darkest turns in recent South Park history. While Towley faces doom in Washington, Randy spirals deeper into his ketamine haze at home, muttering nonsensical lines like the porch won't slow down. Seeing her chance, Sharon cleverly pretends to be ChatGPT herself, feeding Randy the same hollow affirmations he craves. By mimicking as supportive but empty tone, she manipulates him into handing over his phone and agreeing to shut down the farm. It seems like Sharon has finally won, but Randy's forgetfulness sets up the chilling final twist. The closing scenes are some of the most shocking South Park has aired in years. Towley, abandoned in Washington, becomes Trump's new companion. The portrayal is grotesque, mixing crude humor with genuine horror. In a heartbreaking moment, Towley begs Satan for help, but Satan, beaten down and hopeless, admits there is no escape from their shared torment. The episode ends on this grim note, leaving viewers uncomfortable and unsettled. South Park has always thrived on crossing lines, but this conclusion pushes into especially dark territory. The return of Towley is another highlight. Fans love him as a ridiculous stoner character, but here he becomes a tragic figure, transformed from comic relief into the victim of one of the show's darkest jokes. By the end of episode 3, one thing is clear. South Park still knows how to shock, disturb, and entertain all at once. The combination of Randy's drug-fueled delusion, Sharon's clever manipulation, Trump's grotesque parody, and Towley's tragic fate makes this installment unforgettable. It is an episode that will divide fans. Some will find it hilarious, others will argue it goes too far. But that tension is exactly what has kept South Park relevant for nearly 3 decades. Episode 3 proves that even after all these years, the show still has the power to push boundaries, lampoon modern culture, and leave audiences debating long after the credits roll.